I find that a lot of friends and even clients really wrestle just with like, who are my friends, especially post-pandemic. And so I think that universal piece, is in the, I'm not the only one. And then also like, are there other people out there that I can cross paths with, and like share in the chaos, of these absurd moments.
Specificity, we're all looking for it because you hear like just be yourself, right? But it's so true. Like people should lean into what they're good at. Ironically, it's what helps us see ourselves in other people.
Hello, and welcome to Situaseans podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Williams, aka seanydoo. You can call me Sean. Seanydoo, does not matter to me. I'm just glad that y'all are here, and I have two special guests here. I'm so glad to have you all both here, Christian Allen and Hannah Kwan. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited to be here.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yes. So Hannah and Christian, they are both on like part of the new TV show that's coming out. It is called The Singles. And so you all are going to love this. This is all about dating and relationships and how fucked up that it is out here in the dating world, right?
It's real.
Yeah, it's rough out here.
Absolutely. And so for our audience, can you tell us what your role is in the production and what you do? Tell us everything.
I get to play a character named Mia, and she's the bartender. And so the bartender and the bar that they kind of all come to, it seems very serendipitous in a lot of ways, but it becomes like a really focal point for all of them to be vulnerable and kind of meet each other in the midst of the chaotic dating, scene in LA.
Absolutely. I love that. And how long and Christian, let us know, what do you do on the show?
Yeah, well, I believe my job description was to find an audience for The Singles. And so I think it's really cool. I was really fascinated. I met the executive producer at an event and he told me about it. I think, going back to dating, right? I think we like to find people with passion, right? And that's what this executive producer had. And he talked about the show, on the surface, it talks about dating and like the hopeless romanticism of it all here in Los Angeles. But underneath that, it's kind of like a sense and a search for purpose and relationships. And so that's what drew me to it. And I love hearing the cast talk about that when they're on these podcasts.
Yeah, that's amazing. And apologies if I missed this. So how long have you all been, producing and filming this?
To my understanding, they've been filming it for a few years now. So there are 2 episodes in. It's pretty cool. And these are independent filmmakers that had a story they wanted to tell and put together the power to make it happen. And I really admire that.
Wow, that's amazing. And Hannah, so how did you find out about this project?
Just as a working actor, it was just on a submission site.
Yeah.
It started that way for me. But the role was just like Mia was a bartender and in the dating scene. And I was like, cool. Booked it and then got there. And I think really being able to meet up with people that are very passionate. And between the first and second episode, there were just a lot of things going on, life,
Yes.
But seeing how earnest like the creators were and how much they wanted to honor every person that was a part of the project, I think really drew all of us in. And so the fact that after the first episode, we didn't have any contracts necessarily, but for the second, almost everyone came back like easily because it was such a passion project that really does speak to, again, the dating scene and just life, right?
So for our audience, can you kind of tell our audience, are you based in LA? What's it like? Did you all grow up in LA? What is it like? What is the life for you all like?
Yeah, I moved to LA about 4 years ago when I came here for college. I went to UCLA. So I was living in Westwood and then I was living in Culver City. And then now I'm getting ready for the next chapter of life, I guess. My fiance and I get married in a few months. And so we'll be moving to Orange County. Orange County's, everything in SoCal is only a matter of hours away, right? But I love LA. I think what I learned pretty early into it is that Like there are just so many people that are here to bring their visions and their lifelong like goals for themselves to life, which is really cool, right? A lot of people have that passion and that earnesty. And so, yeah, it's been really cool being here in LA, meeting a lot of people of different talents, especially like really talented people. I mean, like you can't see his setup, but his setup is like super meticulous. And it's like, I can never. And so like people that are just really good at what they do and are continuing to get better and better here.
For sure. Wow. And how about you, Hannah?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in like LA area, kind of like the SGV Alhambra area. And so I did acting like in high school, per chance. It wasn't like on purpose because it was very not cool when I was in high school, but I loved it, you know? And then after that, I was like, oh, I want to pursue this. And my beautiful, lovely immigrant Korean mom was like, oh, hell no. Like, you're going to college. I did not come, from Korea for you to not go to college. And so I did the college thing, ended up like as an English major, religious studies major, very not the path that she wanted initially, which led me to, I guess my day job is as a psychotherapist.
Wow.
So yeah, I checked that box for her. Like I have a job, that she can find a little bit more security in. And then acting happened. And I just remember being shocked at how many people have moved here and like moved here yourself.
Yeah.
And as I was exploring, trying out acting, there were a lot of people that were like, you're lucky, like you're here, aside from headshots and casting submissions, they were like, you get to like dip your toe in the industry without necessarily having to pick up and like have to uproot. And so I've really taken that as like, whoa, that's a really big luxury and not taking that for granted.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. And so kind of just from your experience or even just from like, friends' experience, can you kind of tell us like what your opinion of the LA dating scene is like?
Oh, that's a loaded question, right? I'm gonna go from my time at UCLA. Oh my gosh, I didn't know how much of a party school UCLA was, so it was really, really crazy. I was with my now fiance before I went to UCLA, so I entered in that relationship. But I saw a lot of my peers, giving it a go. But I think like, oh my gosh, like from an outsider's perspective, it seems really interesting because like the world is always changing, right? With like social media and trends and just kind of like people's like dispositional behavior, right? Yeah. So it seems like it can be quite difficult to get into LA dating just from what I've heard. I think there's also like, en masses, people's identity of themselves is evolving, right? Like women are having higher standards and now are more maybe collectively like identifying red flags and what to avoid and what not. And then maybe a kind of similar phenomenon can be said about men, right? So I think the dating culture is really changing here in LA and like abroad, right? I think it's great though. I see a lot of people like having self-respect and not letting, this is called the situation pod, right? Not letting themselves fall into situationship.
Exactly.
I think that's like, I see that be so prevalent here in LA. But I'm happy that people are like sticking to their guns and what they're looking for in a relationship and having boundaries is what I also see here. So
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. The ever-changingness of it all.
Yes.
I think my experience with dating is kind of coded also in like cultural, and I grew up in like an immigrant Korean church context. And so like what that church, like that framework and like how that impacted like gender expectations and such like that. So I imagine everyone has their version of that. Right. Yes. But one thing I have noticed, even if I haven't been dating for, the past several, I'm in a relationship. So,
all right,
which I love. Okay. that looked weird. But it looked like.
Shout out to Hannah's partner.
Yeah, I love him. But yes, as a psychotherapist, even with certain clients or friends, as we talk about dating, one thing I've noticed is that people, like now that like therapy and healing and red flags and more ownership of, I think you shared like the good parts, like people that are like, you're giving them benefit of the doubt, I'll play your devil's advocate, the other side, where I've also noticed with all the language coming out, which is really great, there are certain people, or there's so many experiences where people are using that and sometimes weaponizing, like red flags, or like they're weaponizing their boundaries in ways that I'm like, I think they have the language, but perhaps have yet to put in the work to figure out how to align themselves with what they need. And so I've actually seen that side of dating as well, both, friends and clients that are, in that process or need that kind of reality check, but also the people that are suffering from that as well. And so I think the dating scene is complicated in that way, because I hear time and time again clients saying like, but they're saying the right things. They're talking about safety. And I'm like, if they're saying I don't feel safe if you go home and I want you to stay in bed with, like,
right?
I don't know about that.
That's a little right.
That's not okay.
It's a little manipulative,
Exactly. And so I think that there's, of course, not everybody, but I've noticed those trends as well. And so I'm sure like dating sites and like how quick everything is sometimes makes dating more like resume, like you almost have like an endless amount of fish.
Yes.
And so sometimes it's hard to see the person. Not that you have to give everyone like the benefit of the doubt. If you're like, I don't need to, you don't need to. But I think, I could go forever. So I'll pause.
Well, actually, it's a great question to ask, Sean, because it is really complex, right? Like I hadn't even thought about that. I guess I'm like very fortunate that my fiance is pretty offline, right? Like she doesn't use social media, and we have a pretty like private relationship, and she's always been upfront from like day one when we met almost 6 years ago. Like this is what I stand for, what I'm looking for, where I want our path to lead, being like very marriage minded. And so that kind of helped keep our relationship really grounded and like have accountability. But absolutely, I hadn't thought about like, especially nowadays, like we're in a time where we're so much more connected than ever, right? Like with social media, and maybe like everything takes time to learn and figure out and finding like boundaries and parameters. And so maybe because like we're constantly exposed to media and consuming different media, like I notice like a lot of my guy friends get really frustrated by like, oh my gosh, like girls do this and girls do that, right? But I feel like they have a parasocial relationship with women, right? They hear things online, they see things, and they think, oh, all women are like that, or what have you. But there's like, I guess the collective image that we receive from what we consume, and then there's like who people are, right? And I think that's also, to play like devil's advocate, maybe a downside of dating culture nowadays is that we don't really see people. We kind of like to compartmentalize when we shouldn't. So
and even with like the options, it's like, oh, this person, chews loudly or blinks oddly. I don't like that. Instead of talking to them about it, I'm gonna go back on the app and find somebody else or whatever. But dating is definitely complicated for sure. And I guess, kind of tying it back to like the show. So like what inspired like the singles? Like, was it drawn from some personal experiences or like, observation of LA culture? Tell me about it.
Yeah, I know that. So Barton L. Rickman is the showrunner and Charlie Hulse is the executive producer. I know that they were really inspired by the pandemic and the lockdowns back in 2020 and how that affected our relationships romantically and just like socially. And I think that's really fascinating because there are those shows like How I Met Your Mother that talk about like dating in your 20s and young love and figuring out who you are. And I think it's really awesome that they saw a need for people, even, to this year in 2025, they're still trying to readjust and figure out like who they are, kind of recovering from like the solitude of the pandemic and lockdowns, and wanted to consider how that affects dating culture as well. And like, I think that's how the show really covers it. And I think that's awesome that, the show is about finding love, but it's also about like finding your place, especially after such a big, I guess like turning point. in history, like the pandemic, and maybe that's not yet so recognized in media. So.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. And is that kind of like what you gathered, just like even being an actress in this show? Like, was it kind of like, wow, okay, I am kind of like seeing some of these common things from IRL experiences and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that like the adjustment, or like the impact of the pandemic definitely was such a big point, I guess. The piece that I really saw just through the script and in how we navigated our roles and how we all come together is also being able to address grief in like a comedic way, and so it's not to make light of it, but it's to allow for vulnerability. And so just in my experience, even at work, seeing like high school, early college kids, that was kind of my demographic when 2020 hit.
Yeah.
And so many of them were like, oh, I can't go to prom, but like people are dying, so I should be happy. And I was like, no, I was like literally, I don't know what you're experiencing. I got to have my prom, like I got to graduate with my friends. I got to dorm my freshman year of college. And the fact that you don't get these things that you didn't even realize you might have wanted to do, but they're such like important life things, I think really rattled people, And so, absolutely. Yeah, I think the show does a great job. I see like the bridge between like How I Met Your Mother and Insecure, where like it gets raw in some of the parts, and I think it allows for those moments of grief. And so I would say it's like less of a sitcom, although it has those tones as well, just for like pacing and comedic parts. I think it really taps into vulnerability and rawness and some of the characters in funny situations. But you see them, and the hope is that you can relate, and you're like, oh, the situation perhaps is not mine, but how they're looking, how they're feeling, like the loss that they might be grappling with is something that I can resonate with, or I've seen someone kind of experience that. And so that drew me in.
All right. Amazing. Because even like when you had shared the trailer with me, I had like watched it. I was like, wow, like this is intense in the best way possible. I like this. And even just, some of the funny things like that happen, like or some of like the most unhinged things that people will say, whether it's on a date or just out and about. I'm like, wow, this show is relatable as fuck.
Oh yeah.
I always love how you put it, Hannah. I think there are like some really bombastic situations. Like, is it episode 2 where they're just like, I think they're a bit hungover and they're walking in Burbank, and then they find themselves on a movie set, and suddenly they think they're on like a gun shootout and whatnot. Yeah. And so it can have like these really like intense scenes as far as like the stakes and the concept, but also it's like the characters get humbled in every episode, what I gather. And I like that. Like, you have these characters that are coping with loneliness in different ways, addiction or pride or what have you. And then they kind of like get humbled and they kind of like come back down to earth. And I think the show is having its characters be about like self-improvement, which is cool too, right? Because when you enter these relationships, you want to be able to rub off on your partner and improve them, right? We're not always like the best we can be, but I think the showrunner, Barton, he has a huge emphasis on like helping people get 1% better each day. And I think that's what like Sentience Entertainment, the company behind it, is really, really taking home. And it clearly shows in the episode. So you should go check them out.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll make sure to drop a trailer at to the show at the end of this episode so you all can go and see. And then we'll drop the links as well so you all can tune in and follow.
Awesome.
And, speaking of like the characters, I definitely want to touch on that. So each of these characters kind of, face like so many of these like relatable challenges. So romance, balance, vulnerability, humility. So I guess like, how do you approach making like those character arcs for both, I guess make it relatable, specific, and universal to everybody? And I kind of want to like hear even from like production side, even from in the cast side as well.
I can say, and I think I have a different perspective because I'm more on like the how do we exhibit this on social media, like the PR and the marketing. And I've watched the episodes several times and I do enjoy watching them. And I try to look for these moments where like, what's something where if someone is having first contact with the singles, they don't know what it's about, they haven't heard of Sentience Entertainment, they can see like a clip, a fan edit, if you will, and see the relatability in it, right? Because when people when they're on social media, they're finding the account and they're having that first exposure. I want it to be that it's beginner friendly. You can see these clips and still understand the meaning behind them, right? You can see yourself in the relatable moments, Julian in episode 1, he finds out that he's entering a three-way, right? Things like that. Just taking these situations out of context and still having them be relatable on some emotional level for the social media output. Because if the main mission is to through the story help people improve their own lives, then that can still happen even through a 45 to 60 second clip on social media. So
absolutely. Yeah.
That's good. I think I would kind of echo earlier in saying the specificity. Okay, intrusive thought. I'll just say it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to scroll and find funny reels and people that are so ridiculous, but they kind of voice situations that you're like, I never knew anyone else went through that.
Yeah.
But it seems so specific. You thought you were the only one.
Exactly.
And I think this show, the specificities are those, I feel. It does a good job, whether it's in some random one-liners where you're just like, say that back? Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Or the relationships to friends. I think that it does a really good job of kind of having those specifics out there. And I think the way that it can be really universal is that it allows people to pause and be like, oh, I'm not alone in that. That's how I feel when I see some of these silly, ridiculous ass videos, where I'm like, oh my God,
Exactly.
And so I think that piece, it kind of allows people to resonate with some of, again, even if they don't fully like one character, I think they can be like, oh, that one thing they said, or that one action they did that was so cringy, I've done that,
Right.
And it gives them that moment. But I also think I think you've spoken to this a lot, that helps it feel really universal is the collectivity. I don't know if that's the word.
There you go. Yeah.
I think it's really trying to bring in that collective piece where it's saying but relationally, how all these characters come to interact with each other or cross paths is really, I think, what people yearn for. Right.
Yeah.
I think this being very pandemic, influenced by the pandemic, or and kind of post pandemic. I think a lot of people have lost, not even just the muscle memory of how do I engage, how do I be myself, but I think people have gotten really scared. And so seeing a show where you're like, oh, all these different wild characters kind of coming and crossing paths, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to be so annoyed with your best friend because they're so harping on something, which is something that happens in episode 2, but they're your best friend.
Exactly.
You just got to do the thing. And I find that a lot of friends and even clients really wrestle just with who are my friends, especially post-pandemic. And so I think that universal piece, is in the, oh, I'm not the only one. And then also oh, are there other people out there that I can cross paths with, and share in the chaos, of these absurd moments.
actually, I just have to piggyback because Hannah's so right. I think specificity is something that we're all kind of looking for, right? Because although to backtrack, specificity, we're all looking for it because you hear just be yourself, right? But it's so true. People should lean into what they're good at. Something that I found really just humorous to me when I was watching the episodes was, so episode 1, there are the 2 female characters, right? And they're gossiping and they're talking about, we got to leave this double date. It's not going well. This guy's blowing me off, or this other guy's being misogynistic or whatever, right? And then the second episode, there's that shootout filming scene, right? That happens. And me as an outside viewer, I just found it so amusing. Where I was wait, these 2 scenes are happening in the same 24 hours. That's just it's they're really wild scenes, right? And that's what I chose to let me put this in an edit. And it seemed a little deep cut at first, or so I thought, right? But I then I was no, I think that's what people are what's going to stand out to people's that wildness and that difference that it has. And But then also like on specificity, there was actually a reel that Hannah, I think it was when we went to the haunted Halloween ball, and it was like you like hyping yourself up in your car, right? And I think like what they've done so well is that the characters and the cast members are like really relatable, because she posted this reel where we're going to a red carpet, and you know, of course we don't see this, but social media does. She's like hyping herself up in her car, and then we're at the event. I was like, oh wow, that's so relatable, because I did the same thing in my car. I just didn't film it. So yeah, I think, you know, people like specificity, because ironically, it's what helps us see ourselves in other people. So.
Absolutely. Yes. Couldn't have said that better. And I guess as far as like, you know, even just like the randomness of things, like, so tell me about like the improvisation. Oh, and Harley wants to say hello. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube or listening to the audio only version, yeah, you know, Harley, she's up here with us. She's saying hi to Christian and Hannah. Right. It's like, oh, what's over there? But as far as like the improvisation aspect of things, like how much leeway did the actresses or actors have as far as like, hey, you know what, I want to kind of like implement this and say this, like, you know, was it kind of like, sure, let's give that a try, or was it like, no, we got to stick to the script?
That's an actor question.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. So we did have different directors per episode. The first one, and I'm kind of like I'm not like the main cast, but I'm the bartender at the bar.
Yeah.
And so I think with the first, it was more like, let's just get the scene, you know? And so it's a little bit more, I don't think they were so strict on not improvising, but it was more just like, feel it out. This is the parameters you're working with. And like in 1 or 2 takes, it was done.
Yeah.
Right? Like they just kind of reviewed it. I think Byron, the current director, he like likes to do more rehearsals. And so I think he's a director that I really like. I would love to continue working with, because I think he really wants to find where the actor and the character are. Yeah. And so it's almost like, it's not planning out how to improvise, but he wants to see like, where are those growth moments and like, how can we let it breathe? And so even if certain beats are always kind of taken, I think he would come and be like, do you have a different take you want to do? And I think I really like working with those directors where I know I nailed at least one vision they had. But then, I mean, time permitting, you know, always. But yeah, they're kind of like, oh, like if you want to do a little bit more of a silly one or like a random one, like surprise me. And sometimes the dialogue's all the same, but certain looks or like how we pace it is different. And I think sometimes that can just bring out something so fun. So I think that flexibility was there, and he consistently emphasizes the want to, again, find where that, like, you know, if we're a Venn diagram, you know, like where that middle space is, so that even like parts of where the creators and the writers perhaps could not imagine, we fill that with our. I was listening to, you could pause me anytime, but
oh no, go for it. No, we love to hear these experiences and these stories.
Okay, thanks. But I was listening to Amy Poehler's Good Hang.
Yes, that's a good.
Yeah, and so she was talking to Aziz, I think, and they were talking about just Parks and Rec, and they were saying how the showrunners just like used more of what the actors did. So with Ron Swanson's character, they're like, oh, like he plays saxophone? Let's do it. Oh, he likes carpentry? Let's do it, you know? And it's like all of this stuff. And so I think that's very similar to at least my experience with Byron, and it makes it really fun.
I want to work with Byron now. Shout out Byron Noah, episode of director 2. He's such a character. I like Byron.
Good. Wow, yeah, like Byron, shout out to you. Yeah. Cast me in the next episode.
Episode 3 guest star.
Right? If you need a podcaster or anything.
That's true. You could be like a podcaster in the singles.
Right, exactly. Talking about dating and relationships, how unhinged. Oh, goodness. So, you know, I guess like this is another question too that I really wanted to know. So how does LA kind of play like a fifth character in this story? Like, do you think like this show kind of like, you know, like outside of it, because, you know, we have like our core cast, we have like the characters that we're following and building like I guess our anticipation around. I want to know like how LA in general, like how does that play like the fifth character in the story? And like, do you think this show kind of shows us like even just what we were talking about earlier, how the dating world is,
Oh, I'm sure Hannah has so many answers to this.
Yeah.
I guess like the initial thoughts that come to mind. This is my favorite question, by the way, like on the show notes. So I would say LA plays a fifth character because the situations that they're in, like the, I guess like the tangible costume of the situations are, you can only experience in LA, right? Like you have Carmen who is trying to be an influencer, right? And then you have like, I mean, the boys, right? They're walking back to where they woke up hungover, right? And I think like Julian gets catcalled and a girl tries to like give him a ride, and then both him and Tim, I'm bringing up the movie set again. They wind up on like the gun shootout movie set.
Watch
And-
it.
and-
Yeah.
Right, you gotta watch, yeah.
messaging. But yeah, like I feel like just the plot is like super LA, but going back to specificity, right? Like I think the more you learn into those deep cut moments, those like deep LA experiences, even those that aren't in LA, I mean, everyone wants to be in LA, right? So like,
Right,
can see themselves and they're like, oh, I want to go there. Let me come from Chicago. So
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
This question was my most nervous question. So I was like, I'm sure there's like like there's so many layers to the question.
Yes.
But I guess I agree. I think that it allows for like really specific, you walk onto a movie set. I remember in like middle school, I'd be walking and I would see like the Quixote, cars, and I'd be like, like walk by, they're gonna notice me. This is my moment, because I grew up in like Alhambra, South Pass area, and so they'd never notice me. That's not when my acting career began, but it's so real, and I think it allows for there to be like absurdity, but also stuff that people are like, it's not that like it could happen, and I think they really like towed that line of like, it could happen. Like it has happened to me, but it could happen.
Yes.
And where I think it's really genius is that I think setting it in LA allowed for the exploration of like dating culture. Because every place, even in SoCal, like OC has a different culture versus K-Town versus SGV.
Yeah.
It's nuanced, right? And there are obviously overlap and similarities, but making it very LA version, I think allowed there to be an emphasis on culture without having to be so like on the nose and naming dating culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I'd be curious, like, what would a Chicago singles look like in a New York version?
Ooh.
Right.
Missouri.
Future seasons, right?
Yeah.
There's like an episode where it's like the singles in Chicago, right? The characters like get lost in the airport or something. That's what would happen if they were going to Chicago.
And that would be so interesting because I think we would see then a sixth character, right? Of just that culture and context.
Or like they go to Chicago, they're in the airport, they're lost, they lost their boarding passes, and then like Mia's like a bartender at one of like the kiosks.
Hey, I'm there.
Exactly.
She's just everywhere.
I remember like dating in Chicago. It was like I feel like Chicagoans like like, cause you know how like what's that term, Midwesterners, like we're very like nice or whatever. It's true, but also I feel like in Chicago we are not afraid to put somebody down gently, like, hey, I'm not really feeling this, but thank you so much for coming out or whatever. Versus like, when I first started dating in LA, and like I told like, like plenty of people about this before. I was like, yeah, when I first started dating like in LA, I felt like it was like almost like the LA nice, like, yes, we should totally hang out, and then like just never hear back ever again. I'm like, wow, this is so much different from Chicago.
On behalf of LA, I'm sorry. I feel that's so real. And my mini snippet of that is I when I visited New York, I got told to fuck off a lot.
No.
I mean, part of it was,
well, New York is.
Yeah. One, I was like in the way. One time it was just tourist trap, on Brooklyn Bridge. And I just stepped into the bike lane for a sec to breathe.
Yeah.
And then a biker from many feet away was like, fuck, get the fuck out.
Oh, no.
I'm not fit for New York. I went to Chicago and I was like, this is refreshing. People are like gentle, but they're real. And there's like this tone of like, oh, I don't have to question what they think, but like, my soul, my little LA born and bred soul is a little bit like, a little bit taken care of,
Yes.
So.
I had such a similar experience on the strip of Las Vegas, so not New York, but like
Yeah.
I was in a customer service line of like a store, just need to return something. This woman fighting with the clerk in front of me, and I'm second in line, and then I'm just on my phone, and I guess maybe like we were this close, and she's like, "Excuse me, you need to back the fuck up," and I wasn't even, like, I was just on my phone. And she's like, "You are way too close." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "You got to go over there."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's something to be said about honesty, though. So.
Yeah.
Or the how. The what, be honest. The how. It
Exactly.
changes.
Yes. but definitely like dating in LA, I think even just like with like the way that the show, like from what I've seen so far, covers it, it's like only in LA can you have a date, early in the afternoon, and then be on set and something wild happens like later that day. Yeah. Where else does that happen in other states? So yeah, I definitely, it's cool to kind of just hear and just see like the different experiences, just dating or even just people in different places. Because at the end of the day, we're all a little bit unhinged, right? Like,
yes,
that's a good analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I definitely want to know here too, like your thoughts. It's like, so this show is kind of like, filtered through the modern lenses of the digital age. So how did like technology, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but I want to go deeper on this. So how did technology, social media, or even just dating apps, how does it shape all of these characters' lives?
Oh, just so much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like put it into a response. I think it's really cool because, you actually made a great point. Like LA is just a really good backdrop to have this in because like there's so much, there's a lot of diversity of experience, right?
Exactly.
And so I think that coupled with the dating app experience is really interesting. You have like this main character, Julian, signs up for a threesome without knowing it, right? You have this woman, Carmen, she gets come on to by like Julian's boyfriend, Tim, right? And she still says yes to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? So I feel like those experiences, although maybe we'd be like, oh, like poor judgment, right? Like, how do you not know? I think they're pretty common just from what I hear, right? And so I think that's really great. Social media kind of maybe has like this parasocial relationship, right? Mm-hmm. And dating apps too, where like there's what we expect and there's what we can interpret at face value based off like the interface of a dating app and social media. And then there is like the in-person experience. And I would say maybe nowadays, like the show's also kind of about like coming back to your roots in the sense of like finding social interaction for what it is. Yeah. Like for example, your podcast setup is super cool. And you can see a lot of it in the episodes, but being here is like so far different than just seeing it like on social media. Right. And so I think the show is encouraging people to like put themselves out there in ways that dating apps maybe don't always, except like maybe for the worst when like you sign up for something and then the experience is not what you signed up for. But yeah, I think it's really great.
I think, that's like a very, in context and practically like how that happens. And if I could speak to like the internal piece, just when I see like my little nephews or just younger people growing up with phones and social media and such, I think there's such a like always being on. Like there's this like this performative nature. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if, it's genius if they knew this before, but at least being on set and working with the team, I think really realizing like these characters are so on. Yeah. Like they're so aware of how they're being perceived. And not necessarily in this like reflective way. I think that's where we start seeing like those humbling moments or like them kind of breaking and being vulnerable. But yeah, I think it really speaks to that modern lens of like performativity. Yeah. I'm like writing my own dictionary. Webster, But just like the performative nature of existing and how that impacts dating or how that impacts what do you put on your dating website and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ditto. So well said.
Yeah. I love I really like this, and I think this is definitely helping like the listeners too, because it's it's making it so relatable like for them, because again, like dating in general is just never going to be easy, no matter who it is, no matter who you are. Like, yeah, it is about just figuring things out, right? And there's just so many different types of people out there, and it's about trying to find, okay, well, who do I match the most with? Like, who is like who's the right person out there for me? Because I still believe that there's a person out there for us all, right? So yeah, absolutely. And so I guess what do you hope that viewers will take away from all of this and the show in general?
Yeah, what I hope people can take away from the singles and the other projects that Sentience Entertainment makes is that we all have the power to become a little bit better, right? And to develop better judgment, or to stand up for ourselves, or to set boundaries. As you were talking, I was thinking about like, I think the show with its inclusion of like social media and LA dating culture is also really great, because like we're in unknown territory. Like the climate is always changing just socially, right? And like I think back to times when I sat in like a Mel's diner with my friend, and they're talking about how like, yeah, so my friend group exploded like overnight because basically this person like said this in this group chat, and then this person took it the wrong way, and then it went here, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, I thought this friend group was indestructible, and then two, like really like the tone in which this was received is what like nail in the coffin for this friend group, and this this all escalated so quickly, and it's less about like the quality of that friend group, and it's more about like, wow, like social media is really changing how we interact, and like real life versus social media life, but they're so intertwined now, right? And so I think that's what's really interesting, is the show is kind of like pioneering characters that are trying to find their identity. We're all trying to find our identity, while in a world where it's like hyperbolically social media being on. And so I hope people can know that like in the same way that the characters are always on, and that they are also just trying to get by, and maybe they don't know it, but the characters are trying to get better, right? Yeah. They too can do that, right? We all have the responsibility to ourselves to find purpose in community. Community is very powerful. I would say that's universally what we're all looking for. So they can find community in the singles.
Yes.
That was my
like
word.
That. I like
community.
That.
I was going to say, yeah, I think my hope that people take away from this is, one, it's okay to laugh at yourself. Like, yeah, I think that there's, I mean, I think things that are not okay are not okay.
Right.
But there's a way to navigate that and learn from that, and without feeling so fragile. I think our egos are so up, and our egos are
hella inflated.
Yeah. And I think social media,
all do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think social media has like bolstered that so much. And so, yeah, my hope is like people are like, it's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to be humble. It's okay to learn. It's okay to feel shitty, in that process too, or to grieve, and also community, like that there are people, you can belong, right? Yeah, because I think that all of these characters and how they kind of intersect together, I mean, that's what they're going through. I mean, although they're not choosing it.
Yeah.
It's what the showrunners have chosen for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree with that. And even just, I think what I picked up is this show kind of reminds us all that we all are just human. We all fuck up sometimes.
Yeah.
And, we're all dynamic. And I think touching on earlier what you both were saying about social media too, how social media does not technically equal reality. Yeah. Like even just, I can't tell you how many times I've been told before, oh my God, Sean, like I like your vibe in person. I thought like your happiness or how you are just on camera or whatever, or just like, on stage, because I do theater acting as well. I thought that was just like, you're, I don't know, just this on persona. I'm like, no, that's just me 365 days a year. But yeah, I think sometimes social media kind of does do that, because I can't tell you how many times I've interacted with somebody who was like, oh yeah, this person's so nice on social media, or this person's so nice, like, in the acting world or whatever. And then you go and meet them in person. It's like, oh, Okay.
Don't meet your heroes, kids.
Right, exactly.
Really, yeah.
Exactly. And then who do you think will connect most deeply with the singles, and what conversations do you think this will spark?
I think it's people that are on that, like, when we think of like the levels of change, there's like pre-contemplation. Oh my gosh, I haven't reviewed it, so I didn't prepare. But there's levels of change. I think people that have been thinking about this, but perhaps not yet allowed themselves to self-explore or to have those conversations with their friends or spouses or partners, or family even. People that have been kind of wrestling with it internally, I think will be really like, my hope is that they'll feel really refreshed. Like, oh, like if this group of people can do it on screen, like, oh, maybe I can do it too.
Yes.
And I think that would be the group of people I would, I wonder if they would kind of latch on really quickly.
Yeah.
And then I think people that are doing that already, they're like navigating a little bit of dark humor, when you can laugh at some of the grief, but also let it touch you and let it impact you as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Publicist of Sentience Entertainment speaking, I would say the audiences that can probably most deeply resonate with the show are, anyone that's felt lonely, right? We all feel lonely at times. I would say especially those that grew up in the critical years, like adolescence, with social media coexisting with them, right? Because the characters are a little bit older than me. I'm about to turn 25, right? I imagine they're like late 20s, right? And so, although the characters maybe grew up in a time where, like, in high school, they didn't need to balance high school relationships and also putting social media into that and kind of like social media, like everyone is trying to make a brand, right? That's a lot of pressure.
We're all influencers.
I'm not Hannah Kwan. I can't make like all the reels and be funny. But like, and so those that grew up in the age brackets where from the time that they were trying to figure out who they were as an adult, middle school and high school, social media was already there. I think this would be perfect for them because Hannah says it best. The characters are always on. And I think a lot of people are always on and they're tired of being on, An album that I listened to on the way here is called It's Not That Deep by Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
And, she's in her comeback era, right? But I love it because it's all about like, as the kids say, it's not that deep. And it's so important to remember because I think we can think about like, oh, this person's message sounded like this, or, this person chose this photo or didn't tag me this or that. And just remembering like, oh, like our ancestors survived a lot different. And so, like this isn't going to kill us. And it's not to minimize like those experiences, but it's to say like they don't need to have power over us. Right. And so, those in age brackets, if you grew up with social media, this might be the show for you to just, turn off and chillax. So.
Can I add?
Yeah.
I want to kind of scrap the before answer.
Absolutely.
I don't not believe it, but I think when you kind of mentioned like the branding piece to it, and if you grew up with social media and everything's about branding, it almost boxes you in so early on. Like your brain isn't even fully formed, but the pressure to be like, am I going to be is this going to be my aesthetic? Is this who I'm going to be? Is this my kind of humor? And I think that locks you in so, I'm older. I'm older, but even now in my 30s, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much more to explore. And when I look at peers and clients and friends, and I'm like, it's so hard when we feel unable to. Like the fact that I want to explore, be curious, or unlearn is almost like oh, then you're not a fully achieved human. It's so silly.
Right.
Like we always have to be evolving and treating ourselves kindly so that we can be curious. Yeah. And I think that demographic you talked about where I can't even imagine like that branding and boxing in so early on. I can't imagine how it looks to like try to unlearn that so you can learn and be more adventurous with yourself.
It's kind of like child actors where we have a lot of child actors now speaking out and talking about how from a young age they had to like put on a show and know everything right away and figure everything out, right? I think a lot of kids from the comfort of their own homes are kind of being put in that situation because everyone's like trying to be at the top and give that impression of doing so, right? And seem like they have everything together, because you only see the best parts of everything on social media, right?
Right.
So I think like that's a lot of pressure. And I mean, even my own self, like at times I thought like, what would like social media think of this? Or like, what would be good for social media? Right? I say that as like I brought my camera to get BTS. But it's true. Like I think so often people feel like there are always eyes watching them because having a cell phone and social media, that can sometimes feel like it's the case.
For sure, yeah. And I just remember because I'm in my 30s as well, and like I just remember growing up, we already have the peer pressure of just like our peers. I can only imagine imagine if social media was like what it is today back then.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So I could definitely understand what a lot of young kids, and people are like in younger demographics are going through, because it's like, it is a lot of just like, because even with the reels that you see on TikTok and Instagram, this is my experience, or this is how it should be, or this is how he should treat her, this is how life is supposed to be. It's like that cookie cutter advice doesn't necessarily work for everybody, because it's like that's your experience. It doesn't equal mine, yours, or the next person. So
100%. Yeah.
Imagine having like a high school final and having to do the TikTok trend while it's relevant too.
Exactly.
That would have been a lot of pressure.
What do you mean? I still remember T9 texting under my desk.
We used to cheat on those calculators.
So good. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that even for those of you that are like in a younger population, that you're taking away a lot from this, and that your experience is yours. Like your experience is valid, and I'm hoping that you are finding help and like talking to people, talk to like a counselor, like a therapist, like whoever kind of help you. Exactly. Right? Like Hannah is specialized in this. Like she got her degree in this. So like, so, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm on this journey of trying to also say your therapist needs to be curious. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like curiosity, humility, and then also skillful, but I think when the therapist is not curious about you, it's likely they're not curious about themselves, and they've boxed you in. And I think that's when things get weird, And so, I'm all about like finding your fit, and feeling empowered. And if that doesn't happen in your therapy session, you don't owe them anything. Yeah.
That's a really great way to put it. Like, and thank you, even like for even just showing us the human side of therapists as well. Because sometimes we do forget. Yeah, therapists are human too. Like they process things and have things, and they can understand things and want to listen to other that's what they're there to do. They're there to help people. So yeah. And then I guess my last question here is kind of like, what's next for this show? So festivals, streamers, where can we find this? Where will it be?
Yes. So you're hearing it from fresh off. Is it the presser? The printer?
Oh yeah, fresh off the press. Exactly.
Fresh off the press. The episodes, so there are 2 right now. It's indie, so they do an episode at a time. It's going into festivals, of course. Very exciting, very exciting. A lot of festivals are announcing those wins and nominations. And then we were just talking about how, like the world is always changing, right? Like social media is always changing, consumer patterns. What's really in right now are verticals. And what's perfect for verticals? The singles. And so, we were talking about how to readapt the singles, because we really want to take these experiences that are bombastic, as I said, and be able to have people receive them so that they can be inspired, or they can be comfortable or turn off, right? And if verticals are what people are consuming, and the singles, I mean, if there was just an episode about that like gun shootout scene, I would have watched it, right? So so I think it's very perfect for the verticals, and that's kind of where it's headed for 2026.
All right. Wow, that's exciting. All right. So we do have a couple of listener submissions that they wanted us to unpack on the show. So I'm wondering, would you be willing to unpack it with us?
I watched a few of your episodes to be ready. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, what does that mean? I watched and I heard and I was like, dang. The responses were good from your previous guests.
Thank you.
So willingness is there, but we'll see about quality.
All right. Exactly. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, can you do me a really quick favor? Can you please rate and review this podcast, like hit that 5-star review, because and I do read all the reviews because this helps me know how this podcast is helping others and how this podcast is serving you, because my job as a host is to serve you this podcast the way that you would prefer it to be. So we got a few listener submissions here, and so it's up to us to unpack and let the audience know, is this hinged green flag or unhinged red flag deal breaker? So this first one says, what if I told you that I don't believe in love? Is this hinged or unhinged?
Sounds hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you want my honest first reaction? Yeah. I would say, I don't believe in soulmates, but I believe in love.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I also, I think when someone says, I don't believe in love, they're thinking romantically, but so many different forms of love, and I think love is out there for everyone. So.
Absolutely, yeah. I definitely think this is unhinged too, because I'm like, well, like I get it, like this person is going through something that sounds like, and it's like, maybe like whatever their definition of love is, I'm hoping that, that they can kind of find it and communicate that with like whoever it is that they're getting to know. Like, so, yeah. but I would say definitely unhinged, all like I face value.
Yeah. And if I could add like a little, I think when we get hurt, one of the like cognitive distortions we go to just to like immediately deal with it is all or nothing.
Yeah.
And this sounds like that. Like I just don't believe in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so you forget the nuances. I bet this comment is coming and all of the good moments they've had of experiencing love or giving love or receiving it are being shadowed.
Yes.
Right. And so I would say like, what are those nuances? And like try to embody and remember that to heal.
Exactly, because sometimes like there are people out there that's so used to being treated a certain way or like not ideally, and then they come across somebody who wants to treat them good, and they're like, "Wait, what is this? This is unfamiliar. I don't know what to do with this." And so,
exactly,
yeah. So this next one says, "What if I told you that I'll supply the issues if you supply the daddy?"
My first thought is it a joke? Like right. It sounds a little bit of like that, like funny, dark humor-esque thing.
Yeah.
Definitely the unhinged column.
Oh, yes. Yeah. How about you, Christian? What say you?
My thought is to whoever wrote that, I don't know what that means. So like, is it like what is it? Like, what's the opposite of MILF? Phil?
Oh, like a DILF or whatever?
Or
like a zaddy or whatever?
Yeah, like is that, like, are you trying to hook up with someone's, I don't know what you mean.
Definitely unhinged. Yeah, like, and I think like this kind of opens this person up for like the most unhinged interactions that that they'll see.
Yes, it almost seems like it could be a kink.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, because like I can already imagine someone would respond to that and be like, I got you, baby girl.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely unhinged. So this last one says, we'll get along if you like to go halvesies at restaurants. Is this hinged or unhinged? I know this one is a loaded question. Tail is on his time.
Yeah.
Who splits the bill? Like who pays? Who splits?
Yeah.
What do we think here?
I was just watching I was watching Ready to Love.
Yeah.
And someone got cut because they wanted to go halvesies on stuff. So I was like, so I'm sure she would say this is a no-go.
Yeah.
I would be really curious, like the underlying why, right?
Yes.
So if halvesies is like everything is split, no questions asked, I'd be like, ooh, that's unhinged, no room. But if it's like, hey, we're both working, we're both doing the thing, can we go halvesies at restaurants, especially because we like going out so much?
Yeah,
I'd be like, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. I think what's the context?
Yeah. My response was so.
Oh, I might be the dissenting opinion. So we're gonna take this comment and wherever the unhinged box, we're gonna drop it in there.
Yeah.
I would say unhinged because I used to like despise chivalry, and I used to think like, yes, like split down the middle. And I met my fiance, right? And it was just kind of unspoken. We don't do like the guy always pays for the bill, but we always do. One of us will just volunteer to pay for the bill completely, and we'll kind of like swap, right? So it's like if I did it one time, the next time we eat out, like she'll do it, and it never needs to be said, right? Like if she never volunteered, I would do it every time. But that's just kind of naturally the pattern that we've always had. We've never done halvesies. We've never done like, you need to pay me back for this. Even early in our relationship, it was always just like, oh, you want to pay for this? Okay, I'll let you pay for this. And then like the next time I step in to pay for it and, kind of like bounce it back and forth that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My Korean background loves that. Yeah. No, I think that it sounds like there's like a lot of trust and just like being able to ebb and flow in that way.
Exactly. Yeah. I know like for me, whenever like, when I was like, out there dating and stuff like that, like pretty much I'd say like 90% of the time I would pay for like the first date, because I'm like, oh yeah, if I like this person, we're having a great conversation, and like, if I'm asking this person out, I have no problem like paying for this, the nice thing to do. Plus, women have a lot more to get ready for a date versus a guy. Women have makeup, clothes, like, checking in with like, hey guys, I'm going to be here. So if you don't hear from me in 24 hours, like this is, all the check-ins.
That's real. Yeah. Thanks for speaking to that. Yeah.
Exactly. So I totally get it. It is much harder for a woman to prepare for the first date versus a man. A man is just, I'll just throw on like this shirt and pants and go, so. Yeah. So of course, I do think that like, like definitely. And then like, of course, as you all are going on more dates, if like the 5th date or 6th date, if she wants to pay, swap in, swap out. Okay, I'll pay this time. She pays it that time. I definitely like that, because like that's kind of how it was like, for me in my experience. I was like, oh yeah, I'll keep paying until like the other person offered and they offered. Oh yeah, cool. And like no worries at all, So yeah. So I guess my question is, I'll definitely say that this is unhinged, because I don't get the context as far as the halvesies.
Usually when this comes, it is unhinged.
Yes.
There's a reason behind
that's
it.
how I felt about the daddy one.
Right. It's probably like, I'll supply the issues if you supply the daddy and go halvesies.
Ooh, just combo them.
Right.
And I don't believe in love.
And I don't believe in love.
Is this all from one person?
Exactly, right. Thank you all so much for submitting those prompts. Those were really good and very entertaining. Hannah and Christian, they both enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
For sure.
So, if you all want to, be part of the show and like have me and a guest unpack like your submissions or stories, go to situationspodcast.com/submit. It's an anonymous submission form. I won't know. No one will know where it came from. And I'd look forward to, seeing you on the inside. And so for Hannah and Christian, can you let us know your handles, your social media? Let us know where we can find you and follow and connect.
Yes. So you are going to go on Instagram to @the.singles.series. A lot of dots, but you're going to find it. Yeah. You're going to go check it out. You can see Hannah. You can see all the other cast. You can see how that show is what is unhinged, as a matter of fact. So you can go follow it there.
All right. Right on.
My Instagram for Christian Allen is @its. So ITS Christian Allen. Allen has one L, by the way, just putting it out there.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then mine is @Hannah, the palindrome, HANNAH. OG, which is my Korean name, Ogyeon.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
And then Kwon, KWON. So that's my handle. I hope to hear from you.
All right. Wonderful. And if you all are watching on YouTube or watching on Spotify, you just saw all their handles pop up there. And then you will also find the links to the to like their Instagram handles and to like the show's webpage all down in the show notes. So I hope you all check out the show. I know that I'm already a fan. I've seen like the first like 15, 20 minutes of it, and I'm going to be tuning in, and you all have a new fan. I am like a legit fan of you all. So
likewise. Yeah.
And you know what? You all are now official friends of the podcast. That means you all are welcome to come back whenever you want to.
Thank you. I love
fun.
it. I
Yeah.
feel like we can just have an episode where we're scrolling through the comments.
Exactly right. Exactly. I think that's the funniest part about social media is like the commentary on social media that always gets me.
Yeah. Sometimes that's funnier than the video.
Exactly.
People are weird. People are unhinged. So.
Awesome. Or whether on a boat, a plane, a train, hey, you could probably be sitting on your couch right now watching the Singles TV show. You can take Situaseans podcast with you wherever you go. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all of that. Like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, with that, I will see you all back here for the next episode in a couple of weeks. Yay. Woo!
Can I ask you a personal question? How unusual is it for a date to bring her boyfriend along for a threesome?
Put your hands in the sky if you're feeling right.
Can I help you?
Or a party, Mr. Baby Gap.
Girl, you know you'll be fine. Take another toast to the single have a little faith, make it through the
Oh my god!
Always
expensive as shit.
How am I gonna pay rent?
Taken by surprise. See what you became.
Oh, he has a gun.
The sunshine brightest in the West Coast, so it's getting jammed by the scene.
But you're in a way. Easy for you, beautiful.
Thanks. So you'll lose your home. Keep up with the pace if you want to stay alive.
Wildlife has to eat too. I'm a nature guy.
What up, fellas? I'm gonna teach you tricks of the trade to get to the lake.
So, how about we go grab another cocktail?
Should I would tell you how hot you are?
I love it. Who are you two guys? We gotta keep it.
I appreciate the offer. Honestly, it's too kind of you.
What?
You two are in no shape to be driving. I'll DTS. My new Christy Charm sunscreen fades severe dark circles like magic.
Chapter 4. Wine and dine. What? I think everything's going really well.
Oh, okay.